Whenever you're ready.
Okay, we ready to go?
We are ready to go.
Hi, folks. Thanks for coming tonight. And those of you on Zoom, glad that you could join us. We're here to answer questions about the Cohasset electricity plan, community electricity plan. I want to kind of give you just a brief history of how we came to this point. In 2019, there was a motion before the town, an annual town meeting, to authorize the select board to pursue a bulk buying contract for electricity for Cohasset. This was made possible by a state law that was passed in 1997. The idea is to apply the power of bulk purchasing to get very attractive rates for Cohasset residents and also to offer options for green energy. So that motion passed unanimously at town meeting, and then we undertook an arduous process. It took several years to develop a plan and work its way through all the administrative hurdles of state bureaucracy, and we were led through this.
Again, my name is John O'Rourke. Company name is Good Energy. We're the consultants that put this program together for Cohasset and 59 other communities here in Massachusetts. I have a quick presentation that I'll go over, and then I think we'll go over the details of this letter. I had done a presentation earlier today, and it seemed like there were more questions on this than anything else, so we'll go over that as soon as we go through this presentation quickly. Justin? Okay, next slide. All right, this is our Massachusetts customer-facing team. For the purposes of Cohasset, you'll be seeing more of me than anybody else. And we're backed by 40 professionals, analytical customer service research staff, and essentially they do a lot of the background work. We're just the faces up front. And again, we work with Green Energy Consumers Alliance. They're a nonprofit out of Boston, and that's where we get our renewable energy certificates from. They are considered the gold standard here in Massachusetts. Next slide, Justin. Just a little about Good Energy. We have 59 Massachusetts clients. We're a national firm. We do this in every state that has municipal aggregation. And essentially, we operate one of the largest aggregations. Actually, it's the largest aggregation in the country of its kind with 25 municipalities. It's called Mass CEA, and it takes in most of Bristol County, some of Plymouth County, and a couple of other towns around the Commonwealth. Go ahead, Justin. This just gives you an idea of what we're doing with our aggregation plans. We have 45 active plans, 7 plans approved by the DPU. You're among those 7 plans that are being launched. We have another 3 that are pending approval and plans in development 4, and we're talking to about another 8 communities, and that number is growing every day because people are starting to understand that this is a good thing for their residents. The goals of aggregation, again, gives you more competitive choices, longer-term stable electricity rates. Essentially, this program of 21 months is one of the shortest we've ever done. We usually do between 30 and 36 months. This time in the market, this was the best alternative for the town. And the town went out, Cohasset went out with 5 other communities. So they bulked together to get this done. And as I say, 21 months was the best alternative at this point in the market because there's so much uncertainty moving forward. There's a potential for lower electricity rates, although savings cannot be guaranteed. You can see by the rates that were quoted in the letter that you received, we're substantially below the rates for National Grid at this point in time. There's also the opportunity for more renewable electricity in the standard or the default product. That's the one that everybody is automatically enrolled in if they don't opt out. And this renewable energy comes from New England renewable energy facilities, mostly Massachusetts and Rhode Island, 1 or 2 in Maine. And again, what this also does, it gives some increased consumer protection against unscrupulous retailers of electricity. And I don't know whether you know this, but those in the senior levels of communities are preyed upon by these unscrupulous retailers. Next slide. This is just an example of some historical data. National Grid is compared to our largest aggregation. And you can see the orange line is the aggregation rate. The blue line is the National Grid rate. And as you can see, in most cases, we have been below the National Grid rate. And again, I have to say that savings cannot be guaranteed, but certainly in the overall progress of this aggregation, we've done very well. Next slide, please. This is just an example of the 6 communities that went out to bid together. Their standard default, their plus 100, their basic, as compared to the National Grid and Eversource rates. You can see Cohasset, the standard default is 16,710, and that contains 10% more renewable energy than is required by the Commonwealth. There's an alternative of called Plus, which is 100% at 17,850, and a basic, which has the same amount of renewable energy as is required by the Commonwealth. And that's an apples to apples comparison with the utility basic service rates. So essentially that 1631 has the same amount of renewable energy as the National Grid rate. I'm going to go through these fast because the writing is a little small. Who can participate in these plans? Essentially, everybody who gets a letter is on the basic service of National Grid. So if you got a letter, you're on the basic service. If you didn't get a letter, that means you're with a third-party supplier, and we can't market to you, okay? Again, those are considered eligible customers. And again, if you didn't get a letter, you're with a third-party supplier. It's interesting to note that many people don't realize they're with a third-party supplier. Again, you can participate in the plan, in the program, by taking no action, and you get put into that, that first tier, that standard, which is the 1671. If you want to participate in either of the other 2, you have to make a phone call, either going up or coming down. If you don't want to participate, you just mail in the opt-out card. After that 30-day period, you can opt out at any time without any cancellation or termination fees. This is an interesting point. Next slide, Justin. This doesn't cost the town any money. There's no out-of-pocket expense for the town. The town is not responsible for any payments to the supplier. There's no risk at all in terms of for the town itself. And when it comes to the bid, municipal officials can accept or reject the bid at any time if it doesn't fulfill the objectives of the town. Individual businesses and residents can opt out at any time without penalty or termination fees. What most people get confused about is that this situation allows the utility to still maintain and service the infrastructure. They continue to do that. They continue to respond to outages. The only thing that changes on the bill is the name of the supplier and the rate. Everything is as it is now, except for those two items. Another question that comes up is, if you participate in the aggregation, are you going to get inferior service, or is there a possibility that you're going to get a disruption of service? Not at all. And the reason for that is that the utility only makes money on the distribution of the electricity. They don't make any money on the supply. So they're neutral in terms of where the supply comes from. It's basically, they make all their money on distribution. That started back in the late 1990s when deregulation took place. They have to divest themselves of all generation facilities. And since then, they can only make money on the distribution. And you'll notice on your bill how long that distribution list is. Another important point on this is that you still receive that one bill from National Grid. The only thing that changes is the name of the supplier and the rate on the bill. If you're on budget billing or you have any kind of a discount through the utility, that continues for those who participate in the aggregation. Many people are concerned about that they won't qualify for the discounts, or that they're not eligible for mass save benefits. These discounts come off the distribution side of the bill, and we're only talking about the supply side of the bill. For those of you who might have solar panels and net metering agreements, the net metering agreements are separate and apart from participation in the aggregation. And participants continue to receive their net metering credits according to the basic service rate of the utility. One of the most important facets of aggregation over the last 3, 4, 5 years has been those communities who want to increase the renewable energy in their standard product and in the options, the two optional products. Again, the standard product here in Cohasset has 10% more renewable energy than is required by the Commonwealth. And the two options is one to go up to 100, one to go down to what is the requirement by the state. And essentially, the DPU wants us to have that in there so that those people who do not want any renewable energy have a choice of going to the least expensive option. There's an interesting situation here with the tax deductibility of renewable energy. Because we get our renewable energy certificates from Green Energy Consumers Alliance, who is a nonprofit organization, the portion of renewable energy in the 100% product between that and the basic product is tax deductible. And each year, they will send you a tax deductible form for you to take off your income taxes. So essentially, you can have a situation where you're helping the environment, you're also getting a tax deduction for doing that. This is my contact information for anyone who wants to call me with a question or email me. And I'm going to open it up for questions, particularly on this letter that you got. As I said, I had a presentation this afternoon. There were a lot of questions on some of the language in this letter. So I'm going to open it up for questions on this letter. Anybody have questions on the letter they got?
Just to confirm,
Mm-hmm.
if you want to go to the 100%,
Mm-hmm.
you have to make a phone call. There's no space on that form to agree to that.
And under here, under your options, option 2 basically indicates that if you want anything other than the standard option that you would automatically be enrolled in, you have to go make a phone call to Direct Energy to either go up or to go down.
Can you also fill out, there's a page on the website that allows you to enroll in the plus plan or the plan?
You can also do it online. Okay, most people like to make a phone call, but you can do it online too if you want. Okay, at the Cohasset site.
If you are signing up where you have to make a phone call, is that to be done before the February 15th?
Be done anytime.
Oh.
But to go to these options in this customer notification period, you should do it before that end date of the 15th. Yeah.
Okay. And when will it start again? The change?
All right, it'll switch over on your March meter read. Okay, so you can see what that is on your bill. And it'll switch over to Direct Energy, and you'll see it on your April bill. Okay? It switches in March, so still in March, you'll see your suppliers, National Grid. But from that point on, you're in with Direct Energy, and you'll see that on your bill in April.
We got a fair amount of people on Zoom.
Sure.
Gary just raised his hand. If we want to let Gary speak.
Oh, sure.
So Gary, if you're there, you can jump on in.
Can you guys hear me?
Loud and clear.
Hey, Gary.
Okay. Hi, John. Doing a
Gary's
fantastic
one of our
job.
important people that
Oh,
that
yes.
sits in the background most of the time.
Thank you. Thank you. Now, I was just going to say, John, that Green Energy Consumers Alliance has changed their tax exemption policy where now there's a form that needs to be downloaded that literally just came to us in the last couple days. But I assume it's quite simple for those who want to opt up to 100%.
Right, yeah, they've always had something to fill out.
Yeah. Other than that, I'm good for now. I'll keep chiming in when necessary.
Okay,
Do you get that online then, or do you just have to formally have to fill out?
Green Energy Consumers Alliance, we'll get that. Other questions?
John, I have a question. If somebody decides they want to opt up, say, or down later after the end of the enrollment period, can they do that at any time?
At any time while you're in the program, you can switch among the options, okay, at any time. And again, there's a form on the site that lets you do that.
And there are a fair amount of people on Zoom tonight. If you do have a question, feel free to raise your hand and we will get to you.
I got
Sure.
a question. Should you sell your house, does it automatically transfer to the buyer, or do they at that time have to make their own decision?
Okay, if you sell your house and you have a new resident coming in,
Yes.
they get a new account.
Okay.
They have to actively enroll in the program. It doesn't carry over.
We do have a hand up here. I'm going to allow Art to speak. Art, if you could just give us your first name, your last name, and where you live in Cohasset.
Yeah, Art O'Keefe on Jerusalem Road. Question is, Could you give a little bit more detail, please, on how you're able to get a rate of really less than half the rate of National Grid? Just some detail, because that's pretty incredible.
Good question, Art. What happens with the utilities is they have to go out to bid at two very specific times of the year for their load, okay? And they go out for 50% of the load for 1 year, all right? We have the option of going out to bid when natural gas prices are low. And that's what we did here. Unfortunately, this time around, National Grid went out to bid, and again, they had to go out to bid at that specific time when natural gas prices were very high. So the result is that their price is very high.
Great, thank you. And just to follow up, at what, how long would you expect the 16-cent rate to last? Or does it depend on when you decide to go back into the market again?
Well, this rate is fixed until the meter read in December 2024. Okay, and what we will probably start doing, we will probably start looking at the market. And again, our analysts tell us when the most opportune times are to go into the market. We will probably start looking in the spring of 2024 to renew this electric supply agreement.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Just asking a question on this.
Have for years done my own research and got my own. Right now, I'm at 12 cents
Okay.
for the next 2 years. When I start looking again, will that information on yours be available to me, or do I have to go somewhere to find that when I start looking online with all the other suppliers?
Will which information be available? There's a website that you can
Will
look
it
up.
come up on the thing when I do a search, or will I have to actually search for it? Because I go in and I put my location and I have, okay, who's got the best rate?
You go into the EnergySwitchMassachusetts.gov site. Okay, you will see there's a site that's maintained by the Department of Public Utilities. It's EnergySwitchMA.gov. You can go to that site anytime, put in your zip code, and they will tell you what electricity suppliers are available in the market for Cohasset and what their rates are and what their terms are.
And you can log in, because I'm logged in for another 2 years.
Well, when did you get that rate? Last year?
Last year.
Last year. Well, last year, things were a lot different than they are this year, so that was a good deal.
It certainly was.
Miss?
What the voluntary renewable energy is. I know there's different percentages, but I don't
Yes.
actually know.
On the back of this letter, okay, you'll see the required amount of renewable energy that the Commonwealth has in wherever you get your energy from. And essentially, it's the Massachusetts Class 1 RECs for this year at 22%. So anywhere you go for your electricity, there'll be 22% that qualifies for what is known as Massachusetts Class 1 RECs. Then you have 37% of required other. Okay, that's a new category, or not a new category, but a new way that the Commonwealth has come up with basically adding new renewable energy into their requirements. That involves older facilities and also Class 2 RECs. So that's the 37%. Then you come down to that voluntary 10%. And that is basically, it's called voluntary because you're going over the limit or the requirement of the state. So it's voluntary to go that next 10%. And essentially that's Massachusetts Class 1 RECs, again, from facilities, mostly in Massachusetts and Rhode Island, mostly wind, a little solar, some anaerobic digestion.
And do they allow the Cohasset basic then, just because you don't have to sign up to do the renewal was anyway, they just, that's okay?
Well,
Yes, it is.
the basic has the minimum required by the state. Okay, the basic is an apples to apples comparison with the basic service of the utility. Okay,
It does say at the bottom, meets renewable energy standards for the Cohasset basic. So you are meeting some type, well, I mean.
Yes.
National Grid has them.
yeah, you're meeting the minimum.
This is just a higher percentage of what you would like to be part of. for
Right.
renewable.
Yeah, no matter where you get your electricity from, it has to meet that minimum standard.
Okay.
Anybody from the virtual world have any questions?
Yes.
Has, different supplier, and she's wondering if she can just cancel that and join this if it's better than what she has, or how does she?
Well, what she has to do is she has to check with that supplier to see what the terms are of her contract, make sure there aren't any termination fees, and if she can cancel that contract, then she's free to come into the aggregation. All she has to do is go to the website, fill out the enrollment form.
More wacky one, but talking about the National Grid will be delivering and whatnot. Now, what if there's blackouts and things like that and wires are down? Is that still the?
National Grid takes care of all of that. Again, they are fully servicing the account, just like they do now. The only thing that changes on your bill is the name of the supplier and the rate. But all other aspects of your service are handled by National Grid.
Once again, if you choose the 100%, which is all alternative,
Mhm.
and you mentioned that the state of Massachusetts would send us a certificate for a tax advantage.
It's not the state of Massachusetts, it's Green Energy Consumers Alliance, which is where we get the renewable energy certificates from. And because they're a nonprofit, okay, that slice of green energy is tax deductible. Miss,
Hi, if you fill out the opt-out card, send in the opt-out card, could you explain what happens to the people who do that? The fact that, that they're not gonna hear from you?
everyone who's on the basic service has received one of these letters. If those people that don't want to participate in the program send in the opt-out card, okay, we cannot contact them again. Okay, once they've opted out of the program, we cannot market to them again. Okay, so they will never receive a letter like this. Occasionally, what happens after a program is established, we will get new account information from the utility every, say, 4 to 6 months. And we will send out a letter like this and say, hey, if you want to join the program, you don't have to do anything, blah, but it'll never go to those people who have already opted out. Okay, they can come back into the program if they want, okay, but we can't market to them.
And they won't get the irrigation rate.
And there is it used to be that the suppliers would let you back into the program at the contract rate without much of a problem. However, now what's happening is, and they have a choice to do this, they don't have to let you back into the program at the aggregation rate. They can give you a market rate, whatever their market rate is at the time. So.
It's up on the screen for those who are on Zoom as well.
Oh, right. Okay. Good. Sure.
Sign up, like I let you guys, I have it till December 2024, right? 3. And now I want to be sure I have this right. If during that period of time you wanted to opt out at that point and go with another company? Can you break your agreement with you and move on?
You can opt out of the program at any time
Okay.
without termination fees or penalties.
That's what this is. Right.
Any other questions online? No. Any other questions? All right, did everybody get my contact information? In case you have a question, you can always call me.
If you have to make a phone call to do anything, I just, you know, say, is it difficult to get through? Is it
No,
hard to work
I
with?
already done.
Okay, so National Grid can be like really.
Yeah, no, we're not, this,
I'm hoping somebody's better.
no, this is the supplier. They're,
Yeah, this is a little.
yeah, it's a little different,
Yeah.
a little different.
National Grid is what? National Grid Authority to get them. Yeah. Okay. I hope I don't have to, but, you know, I hope your rates stay, everything's good.
Yes.
And you can also do it online, but one thing to say is to have your account number ready. You definitely want to have your account number because they'll ask for it.
My National Grid.
Yeah, your national.
You do it online, or on the phones.
Both are.
Oh,
it's
have your
required.
number,
Yeah.
okay, great, thank you.
Other questions? All right, well, thank you all for being here, and thank you for, who came in on Zoom. Do you have a question?
No,
Okay.
I just wanted to thank you.
Oh, okay, well, thank you all. And again, we're looking forward to a very successful program here in Cohasset.
Hey, John, do you want to mention the Penny for a Planet contest we have that's kind of brewing? Do you know?
Go ahead, Gary.
Okay. Well, I think this is really the brainchild of the gentleman that's sitting beside you and Debbie Cook. And some of the
Actually,
other,
our marketing person sitting in the back row over there, but.
oh, sorry. So the difference in cost between the standard product, the default product, and the 100% is really just about a penny. So appropriately named Penny for a Planet. We are going to kind of have a little online contest between the 6 communities that all went out to bid, and to see who's going to get the most 100% enrollees into the program, and really make the biggest environmental difference. And it's, you know, it's only a penny per kilowatt hour, not that big an expense, and it should be fun. There are no cash prizes, I'm sorry to say, but maybe a plaque at the end for some recognition, but you know, keeps the spirit going for the program and keeps us all involved.
By the way, Gary, the cookies are great. Thanks.
Oh, thank you. Nice. I baked them myself.
I'm sure. Thank you all again.